Hi everyone. Hope everyone's doing good today. I am. I just wanted to do a video on health insurance because open enrollment opened up on November 1st. And first of all, I wanted the people that don't know that Healthcaregov is still there to let them know that Healthcare.gov is still there, which is the Affordable Care Act website, and it is the place to go if you're looking for health insurance and you want to look at what's available to you at the lowest cost. Now, this does not mean that you can't call health insurance providers in your area directly, but I always go here first to look. And then if I have any further questions or I want to compare further, then I'll go other places directly to health insurance companies to also get prices. But I find that for us, with what we're looking for, the past couple years, we've gotten the best price from the healthcare.gov. So first of all, I just wanted to say that if you're looking to get your absolute best price, then you have to put in all your information. I have a lot of people that go there. I've heard people talking that go there and just try to look at plans, just anonymously per se. And unless you put in your income level, you're going to get the price plans for income levels that don't meet assistance needs. So if you're somebody who's looking to get assistance with the programs, then you would actually have to go through there and fill out, all of your information with your income and everything, and then the plans that you'll get will be appropriate to you and your income level. I've seen people who get income assistance or are at levels that get assistance, and it makes a huge difference in the amounts that they pay for their benefits versus someone that doesn't get assistance. So with that said, you would go to healthcare.gov. A thing will pop up on the screen. It'll say get covered for 2018, and with that, it'll give you the opportunity to select your state and put in your email address. And then once you do that, you'll start going through and filling out the rest of the information. And when you get done with how many people and, all that kind of stuff, answering all the questions, mainly income and things like that, ages and, things like that, just basically basic information. Then it'll pull up the plans and what your cost for the plans would be. And that's when you can go through and start comparing what plans that you would be looking for. I did want to explain a little bit about what makes the Affordable Care Act so important, and why we fight for it personally, is because many years back, health companies had the option of covering people. So people that had illnesses, chronic illnesses. I know this personally from my mom. My mom had heart disease, and she was on a transplant list, and they used to get insurance through my father's insurance company through work. And they had a very good plan, but when she started having difficulties and was on a heart transplant list, they actually dropped her from the insurance. They had the option of doing that because she was too high a risk. And then she couldn't get insurance. And if it hadn't been for disability, she wouldn't have had the bills that she did have covered. She did end up having to raise money for a heart transplant through donations. She didn't end up using that money, and it ended up getting donated for defibrillators in our schools in our area, which is really cool. But at the same time, I would hope that nobody would have to go through the stress of worrying about where their health care would come from right in the middle of a chronic illness, especially one like heart disease, because the stress also affects your heart. So the Affordable Care Act stops insurance companies from being able to pick and choose who they want to cover. They can't ask what illnesses you have or anything like that before providing coverage, and they can't raise the costs because of coverage. So the only thing that can cause them to raise costs is your income level, your age range. So it's across the board. It's not picking and choosing, and that's why we feel that the Affordable Care Act is so important. Because now, especially people like me who have a chronic illness and need coverage, we're protected. So that's why we will continue to fight for the Affordable Care Act. But on the site, when you go there and you fill out the email address and you select your state and you fill in the rest of your information, then the plans will come up. And in general, there are 3 different types of plans. There are HMOs, PPOs, and EPOs. And this you'll find throughout, whether you're on healthcare.gov or whether you're searching for healthcare on your own. An HMO is where you have a primary care physician and all your care goes through that primary care physician and everything is done through referrals. A PPO is the most flexible plan where you get to choose all your physicians. You don't need referrals. You can see specialists without referrals. You make all your choices and you can go in any network. In a network, out of a network, it doesn't matter. It's all covered. An EPO is like a combination of the two. You pick your physicians and you don't need referrals to see specialists, and you can go through a primary care physician. You choose them. You don't have to, but you get a special savings for staying in the network. If you go out of the network, it costs you more. So you have options, but it's definitely a savings to stay within the network. So those are the 3 different types of plans. And then what we look for in general in our plans, and how we come to which plan that we're going to choose is, first of all, the monthly premium is definitely something that we take into consideration. So whatever that monthly premium is, you want to multiply that by 12 because you'll be paying that 12 months. So then that gives you your total of your premium. And you will pay it each month, but I total it up so that I can compare what my final costs are, and that way I can get which one is the best suited for us. So I take the total of the monthly premium and then your deductible. So for me, let's just take a plan that would be a 7350 100 plan. The $73.50 is the deductible amount. 100 is what percentage of it pays for your services. So the $73.50 would be my deductible, and once I met that deductible, then the plan would pay 100% of my costs. So I would then add that $73.50 to my premium. To my premium. So the monthly fees that I had multiplied times 12, that total plus the $73.50 would be the total that I would pay for this plan. So now I take and compare that to, let's say we picked a 5,580 plan. So the 5,500 would be the deductible and the plan would pay 80%, and I would be left to pay 20% of whatever I did. So I'm just going to keep it simple straight across the board like that so that you can kind of see how it works. So if it was 20, that would mean I would pay 20% when I went to my primary care, 20% when I went to a specialist, 20% for my prescriptions, And that's what I mean. I'm going to just keep it simple straight across the board so that you kind of understand what costs I add up. So then for me as a chronic patient, I know right off the bat that my prescription costs. So one of my prescriptions, my specialty drug, Opsumit, the one that I take for my pulmonary hypertension, that drug runs about $7,000 a month. So if I have a plan that I pay 20% of it, then that means I pay $1,400 a month for that particular prescription for my 20%. So that means then every month, in addition to my premium, I would need to times that 1,400 times 12 and add that to my premium. And then I know that I go in for an echocardiogram and a 6-minute test 4 times a year. So I would be paying 20% of that. So I would need to add that in 4 times, my 20%. And I also go see a pulmonologist twice a year and a regular heart doctor twice a year. So those are my costs that I know I will have for sure. And that total, for me, if I was paying the 20%, would be really, really high. So with the 100% plan, I would end up paying the higher deductible, the $75.50, but in the end, I would end up paying less because it's going to pay 100% of everything after that. So I would end up paying for the one prescription, and then everything after that would be covered. So this is how I choose my plan, is by looking at my total costs and then which way is going to end up being the least expensive for me in the end after everything is said and done. So that's really what I go through when I go to pick my plans. Now, the other thing that you'll want to look at as you're choosing the plans, if you're at the healthcare.gov site, you want to make sure that if you want to keep the doctors that you're seeing now, it has a place on the beginning that you can put in to see if your doctors or your prescription meds are covered in the plans that it will show you. So it would say, like, once you put in all of your doctors' names and all of your prescription names, then when you pull up the plans, it'll say like 5 of 5 doctors are shown and 3 of 3 prescriptions are covered, or 3 of 5 doctors are covered and 1 of 3 prescriptions. So then that way you're looking at it and you have all the information on whether your doctors are there or not and whether your prescriptions are there or not. Now, the doctors have to be within the network, so that really doesn't change. But one thing I will say as a side note for the prescriptions, and this doesn't mean that it's guaranteed, but even if the prescription is not found in that particular health plans formulary, they call it, even if it's not found there, sometimes the doctor can petition for you to still receive it. So in other words, they can write in for, I forget what they call it, when you have to get an approval before something happens. So if you were going to get an MRI or something, it would need to be pre-approved by your insurance company. So you can do that with prescriptions that are not listed in that healthcare's company's formulary, but they do have the ability to turn it down. My prescription was not in my current healthcare's formulary, and the doctor petitioned for it, and the Opsumit was, but Stialto, my inhaler, was not, and the pulmonologist requested it, and they went ahead and added it. So it can happen, but in general, you really want to pick plans that list your medications, because it just keeps things much simpler, and it's just more for sure that way. And make sure that you compare all the plans, and not just comparing the first page of it. Once you get it narrowed down to the plans that you're interested in, then go through and click on those and read more about what it says about their specialist or their specialty drugs, and because there's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and so you want to know what, all the information about whatever pertains to you. So you want to go through the details of all the plans before you actually pick your plan. And remember that if you don't put all your information in, it will not be able to adjust the prices of your plans to your income. So then you'll just be getting the highest priced plan. So you want to definitely make sure to put your income level in when you're picking your plans. If you have any questions, again, I'm not an insurance specialist, and I'm just sharing what works for me and what we found. And at first, getting insurance was super stressful for me. And it still makes me nervous every year, and I still worry that one day the insurance is going to change. But for right now, I just do my due diligence and going through everything that I can find to read when I'm going through choosing my plan stuff. And if you have any questions that I can answer, I wouldn't be able to answer anything as in directly advising you what to do, because only you know what you can afford and what your healthcare requires and everything. But I can just tell you with the situations that I've dealt with, I can just tell you how I've dealt with them, and hopefully that can help you in any way. I hope this video is of some help. I know it goes through it pretty quickly, and it's just general coverage, but hopefully it helps make some sense of this whole thing for you. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to post them. I'll be happy to answer them. If the video was helpful, let me know by hitting like, and of course, if you're not subscribed already, then please do. Have a good one, you guys.